Valerie Joy Fidmont.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Easter. Let's try that again. Happy Easter. Yes. Welcome to the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living on this very, very special Sunday with our founder, Dr. Reverend Lloyd Tupper. Yeah. I know. Many of you are here for him today, but we do have some people from our new member team. And if you are here for the first time and would like some information on our place here, there's a packet with a blue card in there. You fill out the blue card, and then you'll know every single thing that we send out on the internet. So raise your hand and keep it raised if you would like one of these packets, and the new member team will pass them out. And while that's happening, I would like to introduce some very important people that are here, I'm sure for Lloyd, but I'm glad you're here too. And so first of all, Reverend Bob Gale.
Where's Bob?
Bob's right there. Now, Bob is a former president of the Church of Religious Science, the whole thing. And Alexandra Koch is in the house. Alexandra is a former chair of the board of directors of the Church of Religious Science. And a visiting minister, Reverend Tom Tyson. Where's Tom? There's Tom. Welcome. Okay. So we are continuing right along today with our values. This is the theme for our year today, all year long. We are talking about values that we can really live by and use the principles and the values to change our life for the better. So I encourage everybody to pick a value. There's a place on your bulletin where you can actually write it in, so to remind yourself, I'm living with love this week, I'm living with peace this week. And so we choose 3 every single week and exemplify them for you. So the April theme is transformation and evolution, and how appropriate is that for Easter time? It's perfect for Easter. The idea of dying to the old and being resurrected to the new. And what that means to me is being lifted up higher, that felt sense of going to a happier place, going to a more useful place, going to a more peaceful place, or being more in the present moment, and literally being lifted up by some energy that doesn't feel like me, but is inside of me, that is ever, ever available. And the title that I love very much for this talk is How the Resurrection is Going So Far. Now, so what this can actually be a question you can ask yourself. How is the resurrection going so far for me?
Yeah.
You know, so I want you to apply this to yourself, as Lloyd and I are going to do, because the resurrection story is, it's ongoing. It's not just historical, that it happened once, and you know that Jesus, who is depicted on the altar here, that Suzanne Dubois and her family did with every single symbol of rebirth, the bunnies and the eggs and Jesus, all together. All that's just the way it is, yes. Thank you, Suzanne. So Jesus said, greater things than these ye shall do. So I'm thinking that we are about resurrecting all the time. We are about dying to the old and being born to the new all the time. That is actually what we're charged to do in this life, so that out of every despair or loss or tragedy or bored place in our life, that we let that eternal presence lift us into a new beginning. So there are some values, there are some life values that help that process. First of all, are you all with me that resurrection is something ongoing? The new beginnings are happening all the time, or can happen. They're always, you're not going to pray one day and have some voice say, oh, all of the new beginnings are taken. You know, that is not going to happen. So you've got this available to you all the time. So I'm going to talk about 3 values today like we normally do in every single Sunday. And I'm also going to use Lloyd as an example of these values, okay?
Oh, God.
Yeah. So the first is generous work. So generous work is work from the heart, work that we truly are called to. And there's nothing more important in the world than you finding your work. There are things that are as important, but there's nothing that is more important than finding the reason you took birth and doing that. And doing it with heart. And doing it when you're tired. And doing it and doing it and doing it. That's generous work. And there is no one that I know that is more generous in his work than Lloyd. Now, I want you to be able to turn around and look at these pictures now, because these are, okay? So, first of all here, this is, yep. There's a young minister and mentor giving all he had to you and the people that came before you, and giving all that he had to his new assistant. In the yellow dress. Then this is really really a symbolic photo of the work that Lloyd did, because he has been presented with President Emeritus of the Holmes Institute. And this is Reverend Lanny, looking 12, and me and Lloyd and Mom, Doris Jones. So I want you to know that that the Holmes Institute is that organization which trains our ministers. So Lloyd was the president of this whole organization, and so his hand is in the training of every single minister in our movement. That's part of who this man is up here. So, but not only is hard work in the spiritual realm what Lloyd does, he lives a very clean life. And here's Lloyd with the Windex. You know, that Windex just runs over those counters after every single meal. And so not only is cleaning house a part of generous work, but feeding people. Isn't that yummy looking? And that's what Lloyd does, is he loves people by feeding them. And so before I reveal this next one, this is one that I love because it reminds me of Genesis 3:8, where it is written, "And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day." And he's a great gardener, So that's generous work. That's what you do to live your life right, to resurrect your life, and that's what Lloyd knows how to do very, very well. So the next value here after generous work is adventurous spirit. So adventurous spirit is that value in life where we say, I don't know how to do this, but something within me does. And you step out and you do something that you really do not know how to do, but have that courage that there is the wisdom in the one mind to help. Now, if we don't do adventurous things, if we don't step out, we're going to do the same old thing, same old thing. And how do you think resurrection compares with same old thing, same old thing? You know, you're not going to get it. You're not going to do it. So it's really important, if we want to resurrect into the new, that we don't keep doing the old. So Lloyd is a great example of an adventurous spirit, as you probably know. So here's Lloyd at Stonehenge looking for the ancestors between the stones. Now, we all went to England. This was my first trip to England, actually. This is the two of us. And this was to honor Thomas Troward's 150th birthday. And that was celebrated in Bournemouth, and we went to Bournemouth. So before this next reveal, I want you to know that Lloyd has done adventurous things internationally that are really more than the church. He had a nursery that combines, walking in the fields of the Lord in the cool of the day. He transplanted millions of little pine tree seedlings from the Middle East to the deserts of America. Literally a Johnny Appleseed of the world. This was before the ministry, but he went to the Middle East, and there was he developed a pine tree that really loved the dry weather. And so there are now in America millions of pine trees that Lloyd and his workers replanted to keep the oxygen going on our planet. So he has a connection to the Middle East, and actually he thought of joining the oil industry here, but then decided against it.
Where did you get that?
And then here's a long time ago, this was Papa Lloyd playing with Michael's 2-year-old birthday gifts on the floor, and that was pretty adventurous, and Michael loved sharing his presents with his godfather. So finally, because I want to have Lloyd have plenty of time here, the third value is support. Now, we can't do it alone. Otherwise, we would be alone. And look at all the other people that incarnated at the same time as us. They're good for something. They're good for supporting you. And you are good for supporting them. So support, serving each other is one way to ensure the resurrection spirit will be alive in everyone. And I do not know anyone who is more obviously the hands and the heart of God in serving and supporting other people than Lloyd. And he is available to serve all of you. So this is a picture of, well, is that the sweetest thing?
God, I look so good.
You do. This is how he holds us. He holds us as the pure potential of a new life at every single moment of your life.
That's Michael.
That's Michael, and here is Melanie. Oh. This is graduating from high school, so he's the godfather of both my children. And not only does he support us humans, but he is also an animal lover, and he loves the doggies, and he loves the kitties, even though he's allergic to the kitties, and the kitties love him. They're just all over him all the time. So, and then this is his family, our family, together at Thanksgiving. But not only is support for people and animals important, but the very environment in which we live. So I thought you might like to see a picture of Lloyd's beautiful home. Isn't that just wonderful? That's what he goes home to on Cape Cod, so that he may be supported by the surroundings that he has created with God. And then the last picture I have to show you is this one. This was our 20th anniversary of this community. This is me and Lloyd and Mary and Jim Munson. Now, we brought together as many ministers of the community as we could, and we count Mary as one of our ministers because when I was convalescing from cancer, she took over the church for 5 weeks or more. And Jim Munson was here before Marcia Sutton, right after Lloyd. So this is part of the support team that you have as a community that has that you stand on the shoulders of these wonderful people. So generous work adventurous spirit, and support. So of these 3 values, I want you to pick one and say, I'm going to do more of that. I'm really going to step into and do more of that as my Easter resurrection. And with that, that's my half of the talk done. And I'm turning it over to the master himself.
Okay. Well, good morning. It's great to be with you again, and I'm kind of blown away by those pictures. I'm certainly glad that I'm on giving my excessive weight to the children of Biafra and Somalia, because you never lose anything, because subconsciously you're always looking for it. So when I saw those pictures, I thought to myself, well, keep on pedaling, baby, because you've got some weight to give away. But anyhow, I'm glad to be here. This is also my 50th year in religious science. I came to religious science on Easter Sunday, 1967. And I was a devout Catholic at the time who sinned a lot, so don't get the feeling I was holier than thou, including the 50 years that have gone in between. But I remember my first time. I noticed there's some people I've not seen before that may be here for the first time. And as a Catholic, for me to come to a so-called Protestant church was, a no-no, because if you, in those days, walked into the portals of a Protestant church, you would go directly to hell. And the friend that took me there, I said, I've got to go to Mass first. And I was going to the Church of St. Jude, so that'll tell you the condition I was in, the saint of the impossible. So I said, I can't go because, I've got this thing on. He said, look, if you're worrying about going to hell, where I see you living, you're not going to have far to go. So come to church with me. So here I am 50 years later, being present in this community, which I founded with Karyl and Mom 34 years ago in San Francisco at the Scottish Rite Temple, and here we are in this beautiful community here. And I just want to say I've got a few words to share, and you know what that means. And Arthur's in the back row, and he promised he'd raise his hand when my 15 minutes is up, and we'll pretend that he didn't raise it, but you know who's going to get on me for that. So more to the subject of resurrection. I have with me, and you have in your bulletin, something I have read I can almost say daily, because I'm a slow learner and I have to have a reminder every day. And one of the things that I remind myself about, 12 things that I say what we believe, and it's appropriate today to denote this. Is that the right word, denote?
Yeah, notice, share.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. She's the grammarian. I forgot my glasses. It would be good if I could see, too. Yeah, I'm working on that, though. All right. The third thing in what we believe, I've timed it, all of 58 seconds, if you read it really carefully like I do, read the whole thing, is we believe in the eternality. Now, I've written I and me, because I'm very selfish. I believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. That is a way for us saying we do not believe in death. We believe that the spirit and the soul is immortal. We do not believe that we arrived here and sort of came of life when we were conceived by our parents. That is not exactly the full story. We came here as individualized centers of God consciousness, and we took on the form of human beings. And the form of human beings is our body, because whether you know it or not, your body is made up from all the elements of the earth, nothing else. So when this body is no longer a fit instrument, we cast it aside. Now that's a new thought for a lot of people, but guess what? We're in the new thought movement. We have to have new thought. And the way you're going to get new thought is to read this every day. And what happens when you read this, I promise I won't get too Trowardian on you, this is Thomas Troward, is that you stir up the gift of God in you. And the gift of God in all of us is our subjective consciousness. You have the presence of spirit, of which you are one. You're an individualized spirit of God. There's no separation at all, none whatsoever. And I have this on the highest authority, that you are it. So stop playing poor me, or I'm separated, or there's no hope, or I may die someday. You might as well get over that one. You're not going to die someday. You're going to choose to set your body aside, and you're going to move forward with your accumulated awareness, which we have dubbed your soul. Whoever knew what their soul was, you know? This thing, this little white puffy thing with wings that leaves the body when we so-called die. That's not it. Our spirit goes forward, and our collected awareness, which is our soul, goes forward. So clean it up while you're here. That's the thing. You want to clean it up and then go forward into that ever-expanding principle of life that knows no end. That is what we celebrate today. And I know that we have people of Jewish faith in our community, that in certain aspects of Judaism, they don't believe that you go anywhere. That works for us, because the truth of the matter is you never were here in the first place. Get that? And wherever you think you're going, you've already been. So you're going to go as an evolved individualization of the one infinite life that we call God, Yahweh in Judaism, or the infinite spirit, or Allah in the Muslim faith. It doesn't matter. They all have names for different things. They all mean the same thing. So don't go shopping, because if you go shopping, you have a choice. You either go to Best Buy's or Nordstrom's, and always pick Nordstrom's. There's more of God in Nordstrom's. I found that out to be true. All right. How am I doing so far?
You're doing great.
All right. Next thing. You know, this book, I have given this book out for 34 years. It was written by my mentor and teacher, Dr. Raymond Charles Barker. And I'm happy to say Dr. Barker, in his passing, left me all his book rights, of which this is one. And I always give this out on Easter. So if there's anyone here that does not have this book, I'm going to ask Cece, there she is, the Wonder Woman, if she'd make a sign-up sheet, and you'd print your name, and I will send it to you as my birthday gift for being here. And this book, let me tell you, this book will stir up the gift of God within you, even when you don't want it stirred up. Because it's difficult to feel good when you're miserable. But there is good in misery. Emmett Fox said, when you're on the bottom, there's only one place to go, and it's up. And I have found by reading this for 50 years, I've had it for 50 years, not this one. This is the side yard to my house on Cape Cod, this picture. So when you read this book, you're going to think about me. And that makes me very happy, because I'm immortal. And when I go to the other side, trust me, I will follow up with you. See the Catholic coming out in me? No purgatory, no hell, just a heavenly spiritual goose. Read the book. This is fun. I like being in the seat again with you. And last but not least, since we're immortal, this book is called The Creative Process in the Individual by Thomas Troward. Now, Karyl told you we went to Bournemouth for his 150th birthday. You're going to come up to Tahoe in the fall if you're an advanced student, and it took me 50 years. This is just a synopsis written by a student, not a student, be careful, Lloyd. A graduate minister who has the church in Sarasota, Karen Wolfson. Brilliant woman, brilliant woman. I had a little to do with it, but we won't brag. Anyhow, she has written this synopsis of this book. After 50 years, I think I can teach it to you. And if you get this, this is it. My friends Ron and Sue Ruda have offered their estate up on the shores of Lake Tahoe so that I can teach it to you in the fall, September. And then if we decide that you like it, well, we'll make up a new book. And then we'll do that the following spring or something. But it's going to be called the Tahoe Lecture Series. And if you want to know what it's going to be like, sign that paper and write you want both, and I'll send you one of these. This is just a synopsis. It's not the full bore, but since I know the full bore and you're signing up for it, we're connected. And I'll send you little tweets via the universe. I'm beyond those little mechanisms. I don't work with mechanisms. I go to the big Papa and Mama and say, we got to send a tweet. And so anyhow, if you're interested, that'll be in the fall. And last but not least, I'm so pleased to see so many of you, especially Bob Gale, who helped me form the Holmes Institute. That was his idea. I picked up on it. We did it together. And now all the ministers, including Scott, who have gone through the training of ministry, I'm happy to say we had our finger in the pie. And let's see, what else can I say? I wish I had so much time. I'd talk to you forever. You know me. If you're ever on the East Coast, I live way out 58 miles to sea, out in Cape Cod with Thoreau and Emerson that wander the wood. They never use the words woods, plural, the wood. And I live in a byway for migrating birds. And I feel like, I'm going to close now. I feel like a composer. You know, like Leonard Bernstein. When he was composing all these great things like West Side Story and beautiful operas and symphony orchestra pieces, when he retired to Long Island, way out on the end of Long Island in Montauk, I think. And he said, I have led compositions of great, wonderful composers, and now I'm writing them. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I have a practice now where I do practitioner work. I'll always be a practitioner. And it's the most fulfilling period of my entire life. Absolutely. It is the artistry of our movement. In fact, would the practitioner stand up so everybody can see you? These are the people that that stir up the gift of God within you. And just know this, that if you're not using a practitioner and you're interested in what this movement can do for you, you're stupid. And I can't say it in any other way. I've had a practitioner for 50 years since I entered, and I am still on the pathway. And I have graduated from mistakes, guess what, to mishaps, missteps. I never make a mistake. I just have a momentary misstep. So that's what the news is from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And it's such a joy to be with you. And I thank you for being a vital part of this community that we started, and this incredible woman who has taken the reins since I left formally in 1988. And I have been wandering the world. I've been a Buddhist. I've gotten Shaktapa from Baba Muktananda. And I tried a lot of things, but there's nothing better. If you read that thing of what we believe, you can be anything from a religious background, and you will find heaven while you're here on this earthly plane, known as, if you think about it, the Garden of Eden. Mm-hmm. You're in it. And if you don't think the earth is depicted as the Garden of Eden in the allegorical story of the scriptures, take a look at the other planets in our galaxy. Which one would you choose to be in? You're there. You're there now. Come from that place. Move from completion into expansion. Move from existence into living. And you too go forth and raise the dead of spirit and give sight to the blind. And anything else you want to do, but you please be sure you give Karyl and I credit for it. I love you all. Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, just to finish up here, here's the one we think of today who's saying, enjoy your resurrection. And the qualities that we had today are generous work, adventurous spirit, and support. And so in your place, just where you are, as those practitioners stood up, imagine that they are beaming beautiful, peaceful, loving, creative, expansive energy into your heart. And on this beautiful day where we celebrate new beginnings, choose one. Choose one, even if you don't know how to do it. Just say, this is my new beginning. And there is that energy in the universe that knows how to do it and knows how to do it through me. So I open everything I have. I open my heart, my mind, my arms, my very essence. I open to the support of God, to the support of my other divine beings around me, so that this new beginning may take root. And that is the stand I take on this day moving forward. And so it is. Amen.
Suzanne Baldwin. On drums, we have Robin Zickel today. On bass, Rick Walt. Stephen Meese on the keyboards. And Reverend Joe Munch on the guitar.